If you're looking for serious, in-depth beer information, well, you're listening to the wrong show. But if you want fun and entertaining beer information, you've come to the right place. It's another Beer Guys TV podcast.
Well, hey, welcome everyone to another Beer Guys TV podcast. And it's not from the studio in Glencoe or the satellite studio. We're in Montevideo at Talking Waters Brewery. Joining me on this podcast are owner/brewer, Nick Patton. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you.
And of course, our producer, Shane Zeppelin.
Hello.
And his better-looking brother, Chad Zeppelin.
What's up? Thanks, Greg.
Well, you're welcome. Welcome, everybody. And again, this podcast is being brought to you by Yiggy.com. Well, we are on location. It's a treat for us to be here. And Nick, first of all, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Glad you guys could come out.
Yeah, well, you bet.
Our pleasure. And I haven't been to Montevideo for a while. Last time I was here was to attend a racing event at Fiesta City Speedway. So this is much more fun. I mean, I like the races, don't get me wrong, but the beer, it's the thing.
Absolutely.
So, but you know what? I shouldn't say that because we haven't tried any of your beverages, but I'm assuming we're going to be happily surprised.
I would think so.
I would hope so. Anyway, we'll find out shortly, but we're going to get some information about the brewery and your background and what goes into all your beers. And Shane has been here before, so he's got a little bit of insight, and that's how we found out about you. But first of all, how long has the brewery been around? When did you open?
Yeah, so we opened up July 29th of 2016. So it's been a little over a year and a half that the tap room's been open, that the brewery's been open.
Nice. Well, it resembles one that's been around for a while. That's
it's very nice.
Yeah, the hope was, we wanted to create something that was cozy and warm, kind of a community living room aspect, so people felt comfortable coming in, and so, it's been that.
Speaking of the community, how has Montevideo been as far as reception? Have they been coming in and patronizing the brewery?
Yeah, no, they've been absolutely amazing. We were a little apprehensive, I guess, at the beginning. We felt that in our hearts people were going to come to the brewery, right? That if we built it, they would come.
Uh-huh.
But the community has been, I think, better than we anticipated. Super supportive. We are always having, we have a great deal of regular customers. So we have a group of people that are constantly coming in each week, wondering what's new on tap. So that's been great.
Well, good.
And I would imagine you draw a lot from other towns to come in just to visit Montevideo, and then obviously your brewery.
Yep. Yeah. It's there are not a lot of breweries in Western Minnesota, and so it's become kind of a regional brewery, a small regional brewery, right, where we're pulling people from maybe an hour radius. So
okay. Well, that's good. I mean. And with the craft beer boom right now, I mean, people are looking for new places to go and check out something different, and you got a nice facility here where people come in, like you said, it feels comfortable right away when you walk in. So kind of cozy and kind of fun, and I'm kind of excited about the beer. So, but before we get into that, a little bit of background. Were you a home brewer or something, or how did you get involved with starting a brewery? Because it's quite a task.
Yeah, that's kind of the story that's pretty popular right now. I think is. Somebody was a home brewer. They had the dream of becoming a professional brewer,
sure.
And for us, that dream came true. So I was a home brewer for about 9 or 10 years.
Oh, boy. Wow.
And within that time, met some of the other owners that were interested in craft beer, interested in brewing. Having the same dreams, how great would it be to have a craft brewery in Montevideo? How great would it be to actually have good craft beer in Montevideo? Right? So exactly. It was always difficult for us to go to the liquor store and get the beers that we had access to elsewhere.
Sure.
And so if they weren't going to provide the really good craft beer for us, then why not make it and provide it to the rest of the community and do that deed for everybody else. So that's
awesome.
Kind of what we decided to do.
Wow. Well, you certainly took it on full speed ahead. Now, you mentioned other owners. Who else is involved with Talking Waters Brewery?
Yep. So two of the other original owners were John Skoglund and Phil Zachman. Phil Zachman owns the pizza place in town, Jake's Pizza, actually right next door. And then John Skoglund is a retired Pioneer seed salesman. So it was kind of John's doing in getting this whole thing started. He and I had talked for a long time about wanting to open a brewery, and that idea kind of, went up and down, and then that passed. And as John was coming upon retirement, he thought, hey, what about, there's no better time than now because I have all this time on my hands.
Oh,
and
exactly.
So Phil and I were eager to get started and be a part of it, and so that's what we did. And since then, we've taken on a new owner, Matt Liebel, who's been helping tremendously in the brew house.
So there's
Awesome.
four of you.
So now there's 4 of us, yep.
Okay, great. Super. So obviously things are going okay. Progressing as you had hoped. Are you at the level you wanted to be at this stage, or where are you at with your vision of this brewery?
Yeah, I think things have accelerated much faster than we thought they would. We thought we would be comfortable in this space, that that we would grow into the tanks that we had downstairs, and it turned out that we were maybe a little undersized. We had heard from everybody that you want to have the biggest system possible, the biggest system that you can afford as you get started, and so we started with a 5-barrel brew house, and that's where we're at now. But it quickly became apparent that was maybe on the smaller side, and so we increased with another tank, but now we're finding that. Where we're at is maybe a little small.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to be bigger. We meet the needs of the tap room very well. We're distributing our beer to maybe 15 or 16 bars and restaurants in the area, and then distributing to a few liquor stores. So quickly we're realizing that we need some more space, that we need more tanks, or at least a bigger brew house. So
I know you have quite a good variety here too.
that was, I think my goal was that we have something that somebody can drink, right? When you come in, everybody has different palates, everybody has different preferences, and so we wanted to have a broad spectrum so that when you came in with a group of friends, I know that you're not going to like every one of my beers, and that's fine, and I understand that, but what we wanted was that you're at least going to like one, right? So that when you come in, there's something that you can drink, and so I think having the variety that we do has been a really big positive. It's a small town. It's a town of 5,000, and to have 10 taps, I think is a pretty pretty decent amount of beer for people to kind of taste the spectrum. So it's been great for us, and we've had excellent feedback with the number of beers that we've had too.
Cool.
Great. Like I said, sounds like it's going just the way you want it, and even faster. And that's sometimes a problem with some of the real small breweries. They start out and they maybe grow too fast, and they'll outgrow what they've got, and now they're in a position where they got to spend money that maybe they weren't prepared to.
Yep. And I that's what we're finding ourselves in, that position. And so it's, a matter of, do we put on the brakes? Do we slow things down? Do we kind of ride this wave that we're on and continue pushing? Do we find the way to get a bigger brew house and spend the money right now? And so those are decisions that I think we'll be making in the near future here as we move along. But we're happy with where we're at, and I think we're producing good beer with the system that we have. So
that's the key. We have some beer sitting here, and I'm anxious to kind of.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Thirsty.
They've been calling my name. I know Chad's over here. He's kicking me. Get to the part where we drink the beer. Won't be long, Chad. Hang in there, buddy.
All right.
All right. I was going to ask you, what are your normal hours? When are you open?
Yep. So we are open Wednesday through Saturday. Wednesday through Friday we're open 3 to 10 p.m.
Okay.
And then Saturdays noon to 10.
Okay. And food available? I know obviously you got the pizza place next door. I'm sure you tie into that, being he's part of the owner.
Yep. Food's available. So Jake's Pizza will deliver. We have a coffee shop across the street that does sandwiches and burgers and things like that. And they've actually kind of mirrored their schedule to match up with ours during the weekend, so that you have that food available. And then any of the other restaurants, you can go grab a bite to eat and bring it in. You could bring, your leftover Thanksgiving dinner if you wanted.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're open to having you bring food in and enjoying it with our beer.
I know a lot of times Chad and his wife, my wife and I would travel, and then we'll bring like crackers or bring some stuff in and deck of cards and sit at the brewery for the afternoon and have a good time.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about.
It's nice to hear the community working together as a team as well to try to help each other out in your businesses.
Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of a good success story, if you want to say too. getting everybody's buy-in and kind of working together.
Yeah, I think that's one of our core values as a brewery. Community is a big part of what we do. We are a small community, so we want to make sure that we're doing something that's going to represent Montevideo well. And so, even in the construction of this tap room, we have so many things that were put together by local artists and craftsmen.
Oh, cool.
From the bar top that we have here to the wooden barnwood wall that we have and the mural that's on our wall, all of that is locally tied.
Gives them
very nice.
Gives them a sense of ownership in a way.
Absolutely.
Feel
Yeah,
like
this
they're
is their brewery.
connected to the brewery and part of its growth, and that's very, very wise, and kind of fun again for small towns to go, yeah, we're part of this thing, and,
Sure.
and grow. But again, as with any beers, it always comes back to the beer. You still got to have a good beer no matter what you got, whether you're in a cracker box or a giant place.
Absolutely.
You got to have at least, like, as you said, something that people can go, I really like that beer. I might not like them all, but I like this one and this one or whatever. So.
Yep.
Again, quit kicking me.
Well, let's go. Jeez.
Shane, what do you want to do? You want to take a little break and come back, or do you want to
We'll take a short break here, and then we'll come back and we're going to try these beers.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Hey, let's listen to this from Yiggy.com. We're going to be back with beer right here at Talking Waters Brewery, Montevideo, Minnesota.
Yiggy has created a huge breakthrough in online gaming. Players can win world record prizes with short routes to success, and it's all risk-free. But we need testers right now. Come test our Blackjack and Texas Hold'em games, play in our $100 nightly free roll, and earn a seat in our upcoming $2 million plus tournament. Come play real poker and blackjack, win real money, and help real charities too. Yiggy is spelled the same forward and backward, Yiggiy. Go to Yiggy.com and play now.
We know that one serving just isn't enough, so there's more Beer Guys TV on tap and coming up.
Beer Guys TV brings you beer reviews and beer-related information in a fun and clean, entertaining way. Our website is a combination of beer articles, reviews, products, videos, and now podcasts too. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Check those out. Please take a moment to visit our sponsors as well and tell them that you heard about them or saw them right here on Beer Guys TV. That will allow us to continue to bring you entertaining beer reviews and other fun stuff your way. And remember to enjoy your beer in moderation, never drink and drive, and always use a designated driver. That way you'll be around to enjoy more beer tomorrow. Hey, thanks for listening. And now, back to the show.
Hey everybody, we're back here on Beer Guys TV, live and direct in Montevideo, Minnesota. We're with Nick Patton, one of the owners of Talking Waters Brewery, and been kind of going over the whole metamorphosis of your brewery. And thanks for taking the time to join us here. And also thanks for pouring us some beers to try. We're getting excited about that. Hey! Okay, tell us what we're going to try first, Nick. This beer on our left.
Sure, yeah. So we have Farmer's Tan.
Farmer's
which
Tan.
is,
I think I have one of those.
Yeah. As most of us do. And, this is an American cream ale. It's our number one selling beer.
Okay, this is a biggie then.
Yeah, it's a beer that I think is super approachable, and a beer that kind of starts a lot of our customers off.
Sure.
In terms of their craft beer journey.
Kind of bridge them into craft beers from their local mainstream,
absolutely.
Typical mainstream beers. So this might be something that we all can appreciate and understand the journey.
Yeah, I hope
so. I don't know, has our studio audience tried any beers? You happy? Or you having fun over there? Oh. Wow.
Pretty good response,
we don't get that very often.
Yeah, no, it's great.
All right, well, shall we sample this one?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Absolutely.
All right, this Farmer's Tan. What's, real quick, the ABV and IBU on this one?
Yep, so Farmer's Tan comes in, it's moved a bit, and so it's kind of stuck at 5.8%.
5.8,
which
okay.
is been the recipe that we've liked the best.
Okay.
And it's right around 16 IBUs.
Okay, so it's not gonna, if you're not a big hop fan, this isn't gonna scare you, and just tasting it, no, there's no problem. And just enough hop to give it a little flavor and a little edge, but there's no, this isn't hoppy enough for you probably.
It's just fine.
Yeah, it is. That's a nice, easy, smooth, that's a good.
It is an easy drinking beer.
Oh, that's
On a day like today, you get done shoveling the sidewalk, you come in, you grab a farmer's tan. You know, not just a lawnmower beer, it could be a snow shoveling beer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
So, no, it's been a beer that's done well for us. And like I said, it's really an approachable beer.
And you gotta have that. I mean, not everybody starts out as a craft beer person, as we were talking earlier. Chad was that way, and we've coerced him into liking some of the other beers. And there's nothing wrong with having a mainstream beer now and then, but there's such a wide variety of delicious beers out there that have some body and some flavor to it, but that won't scare people. I don't dare try one of those because, you know how it is. People come in, that's going to be too thick or too hoppy or whatever. This one, very easy drinking. So if you get to Montevideo, stop in at Talking Waters. If you're kind of new to craft beers, Farmer's Tan, start out with this one and go from there.
It's a good body to this beer.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's full flavored and there's some lacing on the glass there. And, I like this beer.
What's your thought, Chad?
I actually was. I understand why it's your number one seller. It's not over the top. It's a nice, smooth, crisp. What a beer should taste like beer.
Sure.
Beer.
Yeah. I mean, you come in and again, I enjoy my watered down taste. You know, the mainstream Coors Light, Busch Light, and whatever.
Hush your mouth.
Quit
swearing at us.
This is right up that alley for a good introduction to try to expand your taste buds, try something a little bit different, and I think you'd be pretty impressed if you did. So.
Yeah, we wanted a beer that was going to fill that gap, right? That space that we have people coming into the brewery that are maybe new to craft beer, especially in our area. Like I said, you know, we don't have many craft breweries in Western Minnesota.
Right.
And so we wanted something that was going to fit that niche, but also be interesting enough, I think, so that somebody who's drinking craft beer all the time can come in and say, you know, I want to change things up. I'm going to try the cream ale, and it's got enough there that's still interesting, right?
Yeah.
So there's still enough flavor there that's.
And well, you mentioned that the cream ale thing, and I think Castle Danger is doing a good job with their cream ale, and I think you're getting a lot of people go, oh, cream ales are good. Yeah, so you're kind of on that same plane, and people won't be afraid of it.
Yep.
And there's a couple other ones that are coming out with cream ales, probably for that same reason. It's, again, a good transitional beer right there. So, well, good job on that one. I think we get good marks all around.
Yeah,
That was very good.
really good beer.
So,
Yeah, very
excellent job.
impressive.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we're moving to the dark beer.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Tell us
To
about
the dark
this one.
side. Yeah, so this is our milk stout. This is Miko Milk Stout. It's
Miko.
named after Phil's dog, Miko. So we have a
Okay,
couple
I was-
beers
had to ask
named
what
after
name.
our dogs.
Okay.
So we have our
That's
Zoomer.
rough.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the studio audience comes in, right? Yeah, there it was. Yeah, good. So yeah, we have a few of our beers are named after our dogs. Our Zoomer Red is named after my red lab at home, and
Okay.
Walter's ESB is named after John's dog. So this is Miko Milk Stout.
Okay, it's on nitro.
This one's on nitro, yep. And so we play around with a few beers on nitro, sticking mainly with a lot of our darker beers, but we'll play around with an IPA or a British Pale Ale or something like that as well. But yeah, you should get a little residual sweetness. This is brewed with some oats and some lactose, so there should be some body in there.
Good breakfast beer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and just enough, like that dark chocolate bitterness on the end.
Little roast,
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
dark chocolate.
I like the nitro, the fine bubbles for
Yeah,
the
it just
nitro
gives you
pour.
that smoothness.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Very
smooth, very
smooth.
creamy.
It is smooth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know this isn't your normal genre. What do you think so far?
I like it.
Uh-oh,
actually.
wow, that's getting scary.
Yeah, it is. It is for not being a stout or a porter type a drinker, beer drinker. It's very smooth, very creamy, very likable, and not only a hint of like chocolate, but almost get a little coffee in there too. You know, so and I'm a coffee drinker, so
Sure.
I enjoy that.
That helps. Yeah.
If you're not a coffee drinker, it might not be up your alley, but if you are, it will be. It's definitely not. Its bark is not bigger than its bite. Right?
Well, it's got a good, nice smooth mouthfeel to it.
Yeah.
It's a-
Yep. And we tend to have a lot of people coming in and saying, I don't want the dark beers. I'm against them. They're motor oil and whatever. But actually, we still try to have them taste those beers and say, just give these
give
a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of our dark beers that actually goes over really well because
Do people go, okay, I'll try it, and they go, hey?
actually that's
I
not
didn't
so
know.
bad.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. So
Yeah, it's a clean finish.
Yep.
It's not syrupy, but yet
Yep.
it's sweet. I like sweet stouts
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, and it's got a little bit enough
Sure.
roastiness to
Yeah,
it.
and a good roast. I really like this stout.
Yeah, I do too. Got any crawlers of these?
we do actually.
Oh.
We do. Not on nitro, but
Oh, hey, that's okay.
carbonated milk stout.
No, very good. But this is the kind of beers I really go for anyway.
Sure.
So, but well, if he likes it, that you're doing good.
We're on
Nick.
a roll. We're doing okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, if I like it, and somebody that is against stouts and porters or whatever,
He's like the Mikey of beer.
Yeah.
He likes it.
definitely one to try, or at least have it as part of your flight.
Yeah, you give it. Put it on a flight. Doesn't mean now it might be for some people a one and done. You know what I mean? It's enough roastiness where that. Okay.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing wrong with that. People go, well, can't drink that all night. I don't think you're intended to. What's the ABV on that one?
Milk stout comes in at 4.6.
Oh, so very sessionable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So well, that's there you go. Because a lot of people, again, another misconception is all the dark beers are big, strong, heavy beers. Some are, of course, but that 4.6, you don't have to worry about that. And
That's a nice light one.
Yeah.
And this is one that's bounced around a little bit. We try to keep it around 5%. I think the last batch that we had was 5.2. So.
And that's the thing. Now there seems to be a tendency that I see in some of these big imperial stouts and stuff that they're so strong that while they taste good, you just can't drink much. Well, you can if you're at home sitting by the fire.
Sure.
But if you're going to go out, you got to be very careful or have a DD. As we always say on Beer Guys TV, always have a DD. Never drink and drive. But in the event you don't, you got to kind of watch what you're doing there a little bit. So they sneak up on you quick. But this one, nice. You can have this and you're good.
Yeah.
I actually can picture myself stopping by on the old hog, right, and having a cigar, sitting outside, and then sipping on one of these. It would be
you're
perfect.
talking about your motorcycle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a bike guy. I don't know.
Okay, my Harley Davidson
Okay.
motorcycle. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that'd be perfect on a nice, I wouldn't say steamy hot summer day, but a
right.
nice day
Maybe
with
a
a cigar.
spring or fall.
Yeah.
Just stop in.
But
For sure.
dark beers are notorious to be good winter beers. I always look forward to wintertime for the dark beers, and some places never get them. I'm like, but this is that. I like that one. So
Yeah, that's
anyway,
It was very good.
very good. Well,
Yes.
Nick, you're on a roll so far, and we're not just sucking up for free beer. Honestly, we always give our honest opinion, good, bad, or otherwise.
do,
And
yeah.
so sometimes we get a double take. Well, you be so darn honest, but it's important for
We
us to be
appreciate
honest.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
we appreciate
All right,
the
well,
honesty.
let's move on to the next one. This is also, you're excited now. This is an IPA, and you said this is a good seller for you as well.
Yep. So this, Farmer's Tan and Square Nail IPA are two of our flagship beers.
Okay,
so two
Square
of
Nail.
our year-round beers. Yep.
Any history on that name?
Sure. Yeah.
Had to ask.
So the day that we brewed the pilot batch of this was the same day that we tore down the barnwood that we have on the wall here in the tap room. And what we found was it was a century barn. So
It had the square nails.
It had the square nails. And as I was actually writing up the brew log, then I was drawing this square nail on there, and we quickly decided that we liked the recipe and that we liked the name, and
Why not?
it has a tie to what we have here in our tap
Oh,
room
yeah.
and
that's
that community that we're part of. So.
I find the story about beer names really interesting, whether they're a pet or a kid or a relative. In this case, it all ties together, and it's always kind of a fun background story.
Usually, and then there's the others that
Then
are
there's
completely
some
off the
that are
wall.
good. Yeah, you just,
We need a name. What are we gonna call this?
Purple Pig.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Talking hogs again.
Yeah. See, you got me going.
Well, I remember the first time my wife and I stopped in here, and you had one that was based on this, but you said it went kind of off a little bit, so you called it redheaded something. That was a really good beer, though. It turned out I thought it was really good.
So that was us that we were playing around with our Zoomer Red recipe. So that was the one that's named after my dog. And so we were trying a different yeast. We had a yeast that we had played around with a couple recipes, and we tried it with the Zoomer Red, thinking that it might give us the character that we were really hoping for. It wasn't dialed in quite yet. And that's the nice thing about having our 5-barrel brew house and this tap room and all of these people coming in as our guinea pigs is that people ask us all the time is, well, do you do pilot batches anymore? And we don't. For the most part, this is our pilot batch, and so it's a small enough system that allows us to be creative. Sure. And so we were doing that with the Zoomer Red. And it didn't quite turn out the way that we wanted. It was still a great beer, like you said. Yeah. But yeah, it ended up being our redheaded stepchild. So that was the name. Yeah. Yep.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this.
What's the ABV and stuff
here
on this one?
Yep. So this is 6.6%.
Okay.
It comes in right around 64 IBUs.
Okay, so it's gonna have a little bite to it. So
smells good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like this. More of a floral hop. Not so citrusy. It's more floral to me.
Yep.
But not over the top floral.
No.
Which I don't care for. I'd rather have a little bit more citrus type taste.
It's kind of right in between there.
Sure. So this is Centennial, Amarillo, and Simcoe.
Okay.
All of our hops now are added to the Whirlpool edition, so we have none of the hops that we're using in this are added to the boil. It's all Whirlpool and dry hopping.
Okay.
So we're pulling out all of those IBUs from a much larger quantity of hops at the end of the process. So hopefully we get a little bit more of that hop flavor and aroma sticking around.
Yep.
And maybe a gentler bitterness as well.
Yeah,
it all depends on the hops that we're using, but I think it lends itself really well to this beer.
Yeah.
I'm not in general a big IPA fan. I do like some, and I've gotten better as your palate changes.
Sure.
But some of them are so bitter and edgy that I just like, But this one is, it's got a little bit of that. So if you're not an IPA fan, I think it's still worth trying. You might well find this to be something that you can drink. It doesn't go over the top, but it's a little edgy.
It's not a tongue twister by any means. No.
Right. Yeah. Some of them you just go, holy.
Yeah, I think at 64 IBUs is kind of middle of the road. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of residual sweetness there that kind of balances that out, I think, and
it kind of sticks with you a little bit.
Yep, and it's been a pretty approachable IPA for us, and one that is one of our taproom favorites actually.
Well, what's your thought, Chad?
Again, very impressive. It's again, I like my citrusy and less floral, and this, like Shane had mentioned, a little bit in between.
Sure.
So this is another sit down, sip on it, maybe have a cigar or whatever on a little bit more hot summer day. Right?
Sure. There you go.
Very, very nice. If you're an IPA beer drinker,
you probably like this one, huh?
You'll like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got just a little stickiness to it. So the mouth feels kind of dry, but you get that stickiness, which is that's not a bad thing. It's
good. Yeah, some lacing in the glass there, so there's some residuals, sugars in there, which I like in an IPA as well.
Well, there you go. I like it. Good. A good offering. Again, I'm the dark beer guy, so like you.
It's not quite up your alley.
Yeah, I'm not in your wheelhouse here.
I'm kind of in my own world sometimes.
That's what your wife said.
I really like IPAs and I like stouts and porters. So I'm kind of on both ends of the spectrum in that respect. But I like some of the red beers as well.
Yep. Oh, well, very, very good offerings all the way around, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
Good job. Talking Waters Brewery, Montevideo, Minnesota. If you haven't stopped in yet, make sure you put it on your list of things to do. Stop in here and talk to Nick or whoever's running the bar and try some of these beers. Anything special you got in the works, like you want to come out with something? There's something that we're going to get there. We haven't made it yet, or something that you want to, or on your list of beers to brew.
I think we're moving towards doing a lot more kettle sours.
Oh, really?
So experimenting with that.
Sours seem to be on the rise the last few years.
Yeah, and we weren't sure if our community would be accepting of that particular flavor profile.
Sure.
And so we brewed a Gosa last summer, and it turned out that it was a smash, right? It was a huge hit and something that we tend to have people coming in, what's your next sour? When are you going to have a sour on? So we've been playing around with kettle sours. We have a beer that we just kegged called Sparkle and Shine, which is a kettle sour that was dry hopped with Citra and then actually zested. So we used fresh fruit zest
nice.
from grapefruit, oranges, tangelos, and lemons.
When's it going to be done?
So it's ready to go. It's just waiting for a spot on the.
Let me take a survey. How's our studio audience? Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Okay, all right, there we go. Evidently they like it.
So playing around with that, playing around with some barrel aged stuff. We do a yearly release of our Berserker, which is a Russian Imperial Stout that's always,
I've had
always
that
barrel
too.
aged.
That's really good.
Last year's version was aged in Templeton Rye whiskey barrels. This year's was red wine barrels, California red wine.
Wow.
And so now we've brewed our batch for 2019 that's going into some bourbon barrels. So,
Okay.
Nice.
Ooh.
So that's something that we do. Late January, we release that beer. We have a party. We do a 5K run.
Okay.
So middle of the winter.
Not much for running, but I'll stay for the beer.
Do we run before or after we try it?
You can just watch the people go by.
There you go.
Yep. And enjoy the beer. But we actually did a breaded version this year that's aged on blackberries. So that we're going to do a bottle
sounds
release
really
of
good.
here in the next, probably next month or two.
Yeah.
So trying to do some bottle releases of some interesting barrel stuff. It's small scale, we don't have a huge brew house. And so most of that is coming out of our tap room. A few liquor stores here and there, but...
So you do bottle and resell. People can buy some of your products locally anyway.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. And any future plans on canning? It seems to be a big popular thing right now is to can.
Sure, yeah. It is kind of on our radar.
Okay. I'm sure it all takes time and money.
Yep, we've approached some mobile canners, that would provide the equipment. They come in and can our product for us. So that's something that we've talked about, at least to provide beer to kind of our hyper-local community. We would absolutely love to eventually get our beer to the metro and be a part of that.
Sure.
But, we want to make sure that we're supporting our local community as best we can right away, and that they have access to our beer first.
Yep.
And so I think slowly growing from here out within about an hour radius is what we've kind of typically done, just so that we can still draw people into our tap room from those sales that they're getting in the liquor store or the bar or the restaurant.
What I like about the canning the beer is that a lot of times when, my brother and I and our wives will go for a trip, one of us has to be the DD. So at the brewery, I'll have one if I'm driving, and then I like to take a can home, because then when I get home, then I get to enjoy.
Yeah, it's your turn.
And yeah, it's my turn. So that's what I like about that kind of thing. And sometimes a growler is too much.
Yep.
Because once you open a growler, you gotta pretty much drink it in a day or so, because it'll go flat.
Yeah.
And so a canned beer, a big, nice sized can.
A crawler.
Yeah, you can finish that in the evening. I mean,
Yeah, if you take your time. And
or share it with somebody.
Yeah.
And we just started doing crowlers this last spring, so
You did?
we have those available in the tap room, and
Awesome.
people can come in and grab those.
Excellent. So again, people can come in. You've got growlers, obviously.
We've got growlers.
And do you have howlers too? I know some people have the small.
Nope.
Okay.
So our smaller version is going to be the crowler. So all of those are pre-filled.
It gets a little confusing, folks. All the terminology.
Growler,
Growlers, howlers, ballers, rollers. I don't know, but so come in but basically one of those things you see up there. Those are growlers, and a large can is a crowler, and you've got both of those available.
Yep, absolutely.
Very good. Well, it sounds like you got it going on here, Nick.
We're trying.
Pretty impressive, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it sounds like you're having fun, and that's
You
key.
gotta have fun.
Yep,
Yeah,
the
for
community's involved. You're having fun. You're trying all sorts of different things. You have your, like you said, flagship beers that are successful. And for me, I liked all three of these. I mean,
Wow, that says something for this guy.
it is. I'm kind of picky. Well,
Yeah, kind of.
mainstream, watery down, yeah, I enjoy. But when it comes to craft beers, I can be picky and brutally honest. But these threes, they're pretty much a hit. And your future plan with a lot of these other being creative type beers, this sounds delicious.
Exactly.
Sounds like I'll be revisiting for sure.
That's what we're
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe we can come back and do a follow-up podcast.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome. Got any future plans for brown ales or anything like that?
Yeah,
I like those too.
Absolutely. You know, we have.
I'll take care of
we have
me.
we have a Scottish wee heavy on right now. Actually, our Blackguard. Which is, I think
Scottish
something that'd
wee.
be right up your alley
Scottish,
as well.
that'd be good.
I like it.
But yeah, we try to, like I said, we want to have something in kind of every area of the spectrum, and so brown ales or ambers are something that we try to have on as consistent.
Sounds like
as
you've got the
possible.
right approach to this, Nick. You've got you're trying to cover the bases. You realize where you're at. You know, you're not in the metro. You're in western Minnesota.
Yep.
And so you're branching out with the right game plan. It sounds to me anyway. And we've been around to a lot of breweries, and some of them, I'm like, hey, you're kind of scattered all over the place. It sounds like you got to focus, and you got a good team of people you're working with, and looks like good things ahead for Talking Waters Brewery to me.
I think so.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you guys.
it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
being on the Beer Guys TV podcast. Any last questions or comments, guys?
My glasses are empty, so
Yeah,
let's get this
yeah.
over with.
All gone.
What you guys think? Oh, yeah.
All right.
They're kind of settling down. I think they want beer over there. So.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this Beer Guys TV podcast, live and direct from Montevideo, Minnesota, and Talking Waters Brewery. Stop in and check it out for yourself. And that's going to wrap it up for Shane Zeppelin, Chad Zeppelin, myself, Greg Johnson, and our new friend, Nick Patton from Talking Waters. We'll see you next time. And until then, beers to ya! You gotta grab a glass. It's some tradition, there you go.
Good job, Nick.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Very good beer. We appreciate it.
Beer Guys TV reminds you to drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and always use a DD. Be sure to expand your beer list by trying something different. Remember to check out BeerGuysTV.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for listening to this Beer Guys TV podcast. Sponsor messages you hear on our podcast are paid endorsements unless otherwise stated. These messages help us bring Beer Guys TV to you. We encourage you to support our sponsors so that we may continue to provide quality entertainment and information. Our reviews are honest opinions. Your opinion and taste may vary. We encourage you to try beers and products for yourself and form your own opinions. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what beer you like and send us your suggestions for us to review. You can contact us at BeerGuysTV@gmail.com.